Welcome to Ellis Mowers and More. On this vlog today, I want to get a little bit in the inner workings about kind of the mobile repair side of what I do here with the lawn equipment business. And another part of that is how I keep my costs as absolutely low as possible. So a little bit of aspects there. I am going to show you what my mobile repair setup is, as well as just, again, telling you what things I do to help keep costs low. What we're going to do is start with the vehicles. I'll give you explanations and reasons why I have what I have here to run the business with, and also why I don't have anything newer or anything more expensive. And then what we'll do is just, show you what my tools are and things that I bring with me for mobile repair. Again, the goal of what I try and do around here is to keep everything as simple as possible and keep cost as low as possible, not only for my running costs, but I can also pass the cost savings on to my customers as well without having a lot of overhead like a lot of businesses have. So we'll explore that a little bit more in this video. Let's go ahead and get started. And before we get started, I wanted to just say, if you've got any comments or want to mention whatever your setup is for your mobile repair, vehicles that you use and why you like using what you have in terms of vehicles and tools and whatever else, then just feel free to put it in the comment section. I want to make it a nice forum for people who may want to try this out, to give you some ideas, but also encourage you that you do not have to have a lot of money in order to have a good business doing this. So you'll see this here. We're going to start with the vehicles. That's going to encompass about the next 10 minutes or so of the video. If you want to see the tools, skip ahead about 10 minutes and I'll get to the tools there. But first, I'll explain a little bit behind of these vehicles and how I got them, and why they are very useful for me and serve the purpose that they need to serve. So we'll start with the vehicles here. Again, you could say, why don't you have just one newer, nicer vehicle to run around with? Part of it's just saving cost and convenience. If I have one car go down, like this, the Caravan just sprung a coolant leak a couple weeks ago. Could have been a major issue. Luckily, it was a $20, $30 fix. I still had the truck. Meanwhile, as if I had, one vehicle goes down, I'm kind of out of commission for a while. I try and just keep many options, flexibility and stuff. So just real quickly, the vehicles that I use and the quick stories behind them. This is a 98 F250, the light duty. So it's got basically all the F250 running gear and an F150 body. A lot of pros to that. And, I've done a few upgrades like LED headlights and had to do a few minor repairs. This truck's been excellent though. Put a set of tires on it a couple years ago. Story behind this truck, my dad found it on a state surplus auction here in North Carolina. You can still see the imprints on the truck from where it was an old Forest Service truck when it was new. And it had over 200,000 miles. It had listed as engine problems when he bought it back in 2016. Ended up just being the typical Ford 5.4 issues with the ignition coil packs going out on it. So a set of coil packs 9 years ago, I've had to put a spark plug on it. And that's basically, in 9 years, it's been great. I think he paid, after taxes and fees, $800 for this truck, which is unheard of nowadays in 2025. He talked about getting rid of it in 2017. I knew I was going to be buying a house pretty soon. In that time frame, I had a Jeep Grand Cherokee at the time, and I said, can we work out a deal on the truck? He basically let me have it for what he had in it. So I had under $1,000 in the truck. The Jeep that I had was less than that. So that's why I've got this truck. It's been in my possession since 2017. It's 2025 now. So almost 8 years. Could not ask for better. This truck is going to be staying for a good little while. Obviously, I've had to do general repairs and stuff for age, but nothing major, and nothing that between my dad and I do. We'll move on to the trailer next. I bought this trailer in September of 2022, kind of when prices were getting really crazy. So I've had it over 3 years now. This trailer has been excellent. I've done nothing to this trailer except add a trailer jack that I got for a product review back a year or so ago. So this is a 6x14. I don't really do tractors at all. The biggest thing I do is maybe some zero turns. I get a couple of big zero turns on here. I promise you the 2 feet makes a difference. I basically wanted the biggest single axle trailer I could get for the money, and I think I paid $16.50 for this, you know, plus registration and all that stuff. Found one with the title, so it's got a plate, and so I'm legal and all that. Had this trailer 3 years. It has hauled hundreds of mowers at this point, and replaced an old 5x8 if you were around the channel there. And that time, that I actually bought brand new from Lowe's back in 2012 or 13, and it was like $600. And I used the mess out of that trailer. But this trailer right here, I could put a tire on the left side, but I mean, it's rolled probably thousands of miles, a few thousand miles around here, and has done an excellent job. So if you can get a single axle 6x14, a little bit easier on your vehicle, a little bit easier on the tires, and I can still, like this LX mower on here, if I put it sideways, I can put it sideways pretty easily, and I can usually run 4 42-inch riding mowers side by side here and be able to get them all on here. And I've done that multiple times before, so that's been good. Last vehicle here, again, this is just my setup, just to show you what I got. Your setup can vary. Again, everybody has personal taste. I'm just giving you the reasons why I've got what I got. Another government auction find. This one came out of Tennessee, East Tennessee, Greenville, Tennessee, so where they build the, you know, box store John Deere mowers. I did a video on this last May. I bought this 2008 Dodge Grand Caravan SXT, so it's got some options on it, for $310 on a government, on a GovDeals auction. And they had it listed as bad engine and bad transmission. Long story short, what had happened to it was that the transmission cooler was leaking on the right side. It's combined with the AC condenser, and it leaked fluid all over the serpentine belt, caused the serpentine belt to fly off. It also had a crankshaft seal leak. Both relatively easy repairs to do. Engine and transmission were just fine. I still got a transmission leak I need to address at the pan, where it's failed after me resealing it last year. This van has over 225,000 miles on it now, which is over 6,000 miles since I bought it. And it has been a vital asset to the fleet. Y'all see my Honda Element in the garage all the time. And I wanted something not quite as nice as that Element, and a little bit more spacious, and particularly something that I could haul a small riding mower in without having to pull a trailer around. This gets about, I don't know, 18 to 20 miles per gallon. It's got the 3.8 liter, so it's not the Pentastar 3.6. It's a little bit older than that. But those 3.8s, man, they'll run forever, and they do. But inside, again, I'm working out of it, so it's got a little dirt and stuff. I did complete cleaning on this interior. I did a super clean video on that. And so this interior has been completely cleaned. I vacuum it out probably once every 3-4 months and give this a good cleaning. And I will give it a good cleaning before we go through what this setup is with my mobile repair. And as you can see, I've got all of my mobile repair set up here. It's basically 4 bins, 4 totes with a couple of extra accessories here, and a couple of extra boxes. But the amount of equipment that I can haul in the back of one of these minivans, especially since this one's optioned with the stow and go seating, which means that the seats are still in this thing. They're just folded flat into the floor. allows me to be able to take, say like I've got a Troy-Bilt pony riding mower or something, as long as it fits in height-wise, any 42-inch rider will just slide right in here, and I can keep my tools in here. So it's a huge deal, and it's worked well. I was very, if you believe in luck, I was very fortunate on this purchase, buying it sight unseen for $300. I said, worst case, I take it to the scrapyard and get my money back. But this has been an excellent asset. So I get all of that to say you can get a lot of money caught up in cars, and requires you to have a lot of overhead in just transportation getting around. If you have a little bit of mechanical knowledge, a little know how to fix things, you could probably do well with getting some older, cheaper vehicles to run around. And then you don't have to worry about them getting dirty when you're running across dirt roads and stuff, which is inevitable in what I do, delivering items, picking up items, going in people's yards and driving around. And so you don't have to worry about getting dings, scratches and stuff, but still have a lot of the utility and whatnot that you may need. And then even these older vehicles have a lot of good modern features now. So what I'm going to do, as you can see, I've got a generator in the back of this thing. And 2 weed eaters, I forgot about that, and a front tine tiller and a chainsaw, and I've still got room for activities back here. So again, just my reasoning behind the vehicles that I have, the stories behind them a little bit, and now, because that's where a lot of money can get tied up, and now basically I have maybe, I don't know, $600 or $700 in the tools that I have set up here for everything. For what I do for mobile repair, which is basically what I made last week doing mobile repairs in one day. I'm going to show you what that setup looks like, just to give you an idea, and then we will wrap everything up after that. So what I'll do here is get out each tote and tell you what I've got in them, and some things that you could also put in and that I sometimes grab out of the garage. But my goal here was to build out basically a go kit for mobile repair that was small enough and easy enough for me to be able to transport between my van and my truck, because there's some days that I need to deliver and do mobile repair. I actually do, so I have a lot of connections in the city of Durham, which is around 30 to 40 minutes away from where I live, enough to justify for me to basically make a trip to that area about once a week. And so depending on the amount of clientele that I have and the type of work I need to do, if I need to bring a mower back that requires the trailer, I can take all these totes, which is about 4 totes, my mechanics tools, and a couple of other small things, throw them in the truck bed, good to go. But if I just need to do strictly mower repairs, I can save a little gas, have a little bit better comfort, and drive the van around. So just again, the flexibility in that. So in here, we've just got Craftsman Mechanics tool set I found for, I don't know, I think it was half price at Lowe's one time, $70-some. Any good old mechanics tool set will do. 135 piece this one is. If you get a 200 piece, you get a few more tools and stuff with it. This here works great. I'll show you my other tools in another set here in just a minute. But the first tote is a lot of like mower accessory type stuff that are going to be common parts that I may need, all fitting in this tote. See, as you can see, it's not the most organized in the world, but I do know what's in here. So we've got, you know, duct tape, a lot of air filters. That's mostly what this is, just because you never know what type of air filter you might need. We got some trimmer line, fuel filters, some cotter pins in here, and some spark plugs, and I think other things include starter solenoids. I think I mentioned fuel line if I didn't. So a lot of basic, you know, things that a mower might need for servicing in terms of air filters, in terms of fuel lines, fuel filters, and things along those lines. So that's what's primarily in this tote. You know, nothing crazy, nothing special, just a lot of basic things that you may find that you may need on a mower, and if you've got them there, it saves you a trip, especially if you're, 30 minutes away doing a job, don't have any in a rural area, don't have any place nearby, and also charging a premium for these items. So another way to keep costs down is to just kind of keep a lot of common parts in stock. A lot of times I'll throw in like a Briggs single or a Kohler single carburetor in here. That has saved me a couple of times as well, having those available and not having to go out and make a second trip or bring the mower back to work on. Now the next bin I have here is the messy bin, mostly because it houses all of my oil related stuff. So I've got a few various funnels here. Had to do a little bit of rigging to put a transmission, or to fill up a transmission yesterday or earlier this week. So those funnels are joined together, but funnels, oil pan, and then down here I've got grease gun, some brake cleaner, and then the common types of oil filters that you'll see in your mower realm, so to speak. So I got the 4967s, and then I've got the 3614s. These are the Purelator versions of these. Those are your two common oil filters. So as long as you got those two oil filters, you can probably change 95% of lawnmower oil filters. Some clips here so I can keep items running while I'm working on stuff, and then an oil filter removal tool right there. Very integral when those oil filters are on there. Those gaskets are sealed on there tight. Nothing much else to see in this bin, but that's basically my oil change bin, save for the oil, which I just keep in the box that they come in the van. Alright, so a few extras that I like to keep in here as well, that are not in the bins before I get the other two bins out, and a couple other tools that I'll show you. I like to keep one or two good and or new batteries in the vehicle. I do have this multi-use pump, so I can suck oil and stuff and fluid out if I need to. Haven't had to open it yet. A lot of times I use just a top pump that I have over near the garage, or in the garage, to suck oil out. I'd sometimes just throw it in the vehicle because it's a lot more useful than this pump, but I've had it a few months, haven't even had to open it up, but it's a handy tool to have if you need to siphon out gas or exchange fluid. Roll of shop towels and or a bunch of rags, because you never know when you might need them. And then this is my oil drain pan here, so if I'm doing 3 or 4 oil changes a day or out on a mobile repair, this right here is where all the oil goes instead of it staying in the oil pan. The oil, I know some people are going to comment about the oil type of oil that I use. I've used this oil for years. It is the cheapest oil you can get from Costco per quart, and I have never had a problem. If you live in really cold environments, you may have an issue with them starting, but down here where I live, we only have maybe one really cold month a year. It never really, the highs are always at least above freezing. Most of the time, I think our normal high is 50 degrees in the winter, so this works just fine. Never had any issues with any engines having problems using it. And again, get them at Costco. When they're on sale, you can get a limit of 5. Sometimes I'll go multiple times in a month and get 5 boxes just to make sure that I stock up, because when you can get $8 off a box and you're buying 10 boxes at a time, that adds up quick. Also, ATF. This is good for filling tires up. And if they've got dry rock cracks and they're going flat, put some of that in there with that with one of them funnels in my oil cabinet, and you're good. Usually it seals it up pretty well. Also, a little tire removal tool, which I believe is in this bin right here, which I'll show you here in just a second. And then it's always good to have essentially a trash box. Now my trash box right now is doubling as the spray box here. So I've got my WD-40, I've got carb spray and all of that in here as well. And I've got to get rid of all of this trash because I just did 4 belt replacements, 2 cable replacements, and a carb replacement, and a couple other things earlier. Replaced a couple of wheels and a couple of other things. So that's the trash bin. so to speak, trash box, and that's what that looks like. Let me show you the last 2 bins and a couple of other tools that I keep in here as well. Alright guys, so we're going to move to this rolly bin right here that found for good clearance on Lowe's. I think it was only $20-some. That's been 2 or 3 years ago now. I'll show you some things that I have inside it, just so that you know what I put inside this. This is where most of my hand tools and stuff are going to go, so that's where, like I said, most of that's going to go. And we are going to tour what's in here. Again, working gets a little bit of a mess, a little bit of mishmash of stuff, but just a general idea. It gives you an idea of what I run with, and most of the time I got everything that I need in here. So pull rope, this is great not only for replacing pull rope, but replacing, putting tension springs and stuff back on mower decks. This mess right here is integral for that. And you get extra leverage. There's my rope right there. You get extra leverage on that spring, and you're able to clamp it back on pretty good. You know, a couple various rags and stuff. We've got a little fuel line in here that needs to relocate to another bin. I've got some pliers here for clips and clamps, and one of these screwdrivers that carries a bunch of different bits. And then there's all the different bits that I have there. That's very handy. I have a spark tester in here, some wiring. I want to build out a wiring toolbox a little bit more than what I have now. I'll show you that here at the end of the video, of some wiring stuff that I like to keep with me. But again, just bits and some sockets. Electrical tape's always good to have if you need to tape up some wiring. And I got a wire in here, a cigarette lighter, because of to burn ends of pull rope if I got to replace pull rope. And then again, some zip ties right here, a socket adapter, some fuses. You never know when it's just a fuse that needs to be replaced on a mower. And then we'll go back in here. This is very integral. This thing from Hipa, I'll open it up because I think this is one of the more important tools that you can have if you're working on 2-cycle equipment. You've got all your 2-cycle adjustment tools right here. So again, do it out on the road, saves you from having to bring it back and make multiple trips, saves the customer money, saves you time and effort, which is good. So I've got in here, what else do we have? A couple of extensions here, a basic nut and bolt set, because you never know when you may lose a nut or just need a nut or bolt. Set of drill bits. I don't think these have ever been used. I don't have to use drill bits very much on the road. And got like clip remover. This is like a paint can tool, but it's sometimes good to remove clips with. This is a grabber tool, so like if something's in the gas tank, you need to get trash out of the gas tank, just push it down and grab it, and you're good to go. I need to vacuum this thing out, but yeah, again, a product of stuff getting used here. This is not just for show. This gets used quite a bit. A very basic wrench set. This right here gets me by most of the time. Has most of the sizes that I need outside of what is included in that red mechanics tool set. I break this out, and if I don't have it here, I've generally got it, you know, an adjustable and stuff in here for that. And if we look in here again, various screwdrivers. These vice grips are, the small needle nose vice grips are great because sometimes you need to remove them anti-backfire solenoids to get the carb bowls off, and these will actually fit in there. Most 1/2-inch wrenches you have to grind down in order to get in there, so it's good to have that. A hammer, you never know, you may need to hammer something. Clip or cutters here, wire cutters, and an array of screwdrivers. I need to upgrade this set because this is just the cheap Harbor Freight set. I just needed something to get started and wanted to feel how it went out before I invested a little bit more money into a nicer set. This is a feeler gauge set. Adjust valves on the go. and, you know, adjustable wrenches. Got another tape measure in here and stuff like that. And then an additional deep well socket set. You never know when you might need some deep wells, and so it's nice to have just a few extra sockets in here for that as well. Just all in this tool bag I put in this bin. This bin rolls around so I can carry my tools around pretty decently, and it seems to work really well. So again, nothing glamorous, nothing glorious, but very functional, and I will say probably 90% of the time I've got everything that I need in these bins. The last bin I'm going to show you is where most of the money's at, because it's got all my battery operated tools and stuff. So the reason why I got a dedicated battery tool set for mobile repairs, because it saves time. Number one, everything's in a bin here, and number two, a lot of times I was almost like hunter-gathering type deal, where I was grabbing a bunch of stuff out of the garage, throwing it in the vehicle. It was very it was even more disorganized than it is now. Very disorganized and not very effective and very time consuming. So this has been well worth what I have paid. I've got the Hercules sets in here. So we've got the impact, the smaller impact. I've got the stubby impact 1/2 inch. Harbor Freight runs these with like on a deal all the time. You can get these kits for like $99, which includes the battery. So I just went ahead and the charger. So I went ahead and got that. And then got an angle grinder for sharpening blades, so you're going to have some grinding discs and stuff in here. A couple of aluminum jack stands to save on weight, and then I've got a 2-ton trolley jack that usually lives inside here as well. A couple of other minor things that I have in here that I'm probably going to start carrying with me is this battery-powered fuel transfer pump that I can extract bad and old gas out, and if I've got gas with me, replace that gas on the go, which is good. Another thing I keep in here is a portable inflator, and if I can find it, I have yep, here it is in the front, a jump pack as well, booster, so I can jump start mowers without having to hook them up to a vehicle and stuff like that. Pair of gloves, a book to record my mileage and stuff so that I can write that off on taxes. And then, you know, I've got a couple push rods in the console here because I thought I was going to have to replace that. Some wipes so I can wipe my hands clean whenever I'm done with them. And then just this is kind of a in progress type deal. Like, I came back from a job from doing 8 mobile repairs, pickups and stuff on a Thursday. Here are some of the parts that I thought I was going to need, and so what I can do is just for each specific trip that I go out, I'll take the parts that I need potentially out of the garage, or what I think I might need. Most of the time I get everything that I need, sometimes I don't, but it's not worth me building out an entire vehicle's worth of parts just for the just in case, if you know what I mean there. So we had some various pulleys. I was carburetor that I had to replace, some springs. I didn't know if I had to put a tension spring on a Husqvarna push mower or John Deere rider whenever I whenever I worked on them. So yeah, so we've got that. And then there's a couple other tools I just want to show you that may be handy to have. Not necessary, but I will say that a small impact, a bigger impact, because this right here will get, well, this is the drill, but drill with wire brushes and drill bits and stuff. Your bigger impact to get your blades off. Sometimes if I know I'm working on MTD riders, I have that big blade nut that is difficult to get off sometimes, especially after it's been on there a while. I'll bring an electric impact with me, or my heavy duty one, a heavy duty battery. But this right here knocks the blades off probably 95% of the time. No issues or anything like that. Got a couple of common sockets before I started with this impact socket set here that I got on a product review. for taking off blades. So I had an 18mm and a 15/16 in here. All the rest of them had sockets for in that Craftsman set that I showed you a little bit earlier, that mechanics tool set. But I do have a dedicated impact socket set that I bring now because I found that it is kind of useful and handy. This one doesn't cost all that much. I think it was like $20–30. But again, I got it for a product review. And then another thing that I got for a product review that I've actually found very handy, and this is the last thing I'm going to show you here because I think I've shown you basically everything else in my mobile repair kit, which in essence it seems like a lot, but to a lot of people it's not really all that much. But this, like I said, gets by about 95% of the time for me, and hasn't really cost me all that much in the grand scheme of things. So I've got this 12-volt electric ratchet here, which really comes into play and comes in handy whenever I'm working on jobs that, you know, you gotta have a lot of bolts taken off, save some time, save some effort, and you know, if it's in tight areas, this thing right here will break them loose and do what it needs to. So I think that's all. You can kind of see it in action here. I'm about to take out the generator and tiller here and clean things up a little bit, but that's pretty much everything in action here. Again, everything else I take on an as-needed basis. If I know the items that I'm going to be working on, like for servicing and stuff, if I need blades, I'll get the set of blades that I need, put them in here for each specific trip. Sometimes I'll throw a few extras in here just in case I run across a mower that needs them, but I don't throw like my whole blade setup in here or anything like that. Adds weight, adds space, or takes away space, and all of that good stuff. So again, very simple mower repair setup. That's kind of how I operate things, and most of the time it's very easy for me to find. I know it seems a little messy and stuff, but I know where everything's at. It's very easy to find, and since I have everything kind of in this bin here, everything's pretty easy to clean up at the end of the day as well. Maybe 5 minutes or so, this thing will look a lot better. I'm just kind of wanting to get a video out for y'all and just kind of show you what it looks like in a working state as well. That doesn't have to be nice and glamorous in order to get the job done. And just a few extra items that I didn't specify in the bins before we finish up, and that I promised y'all talk about. That would go in my air filter bin and stuff. Fuel pumps, because these are very handy to have. If a fuel pump goes out, you just slap one on it, you're good to go. You don't have to bring the mower back home or make another trip. This is your valve stem removal tool. I also have valve stems proper in one of these bins here. I believe it's that one with the air filters. That way, if for some reason I have to replace a valve stem, I can do it on the road. And that portable inflator, inflate the tires up, and you're good to go. This is kind of, I haven't built out a wiring toolbox per se, but I like having wiring connectors like for battery connectors, and if I need to add a ground wire, you got some butt connectors and stuff in here. Some wire if I need it. Lamp wire works well in a lot of cases just for basic wiring, like wiring kill switches and stuff. I do have wire nuts in a pinch, and then just a stripper and a crimp tool here that work really well if you just need to do some wiring repair alongside the fuses. And one of the big ones that I missed because it was buried in one of the boxes was a multimeter. Just a good multimeter so that you can make sure that the battery has the proper voltage and or is getting correctly charged. Now now that I have everything filmed and cleaned up, it is a lot more organized, and this is how it usually, I like to usually keep it, and this is kind of like the base from where I start everything on a given day. And obviously changing stuff out, things will get a little bit messy. Few minutes, everything goes back in the bins, gets cleaned up, and you're good to go. So let's go ahead and wrap this video up. Alright guys, so there we go. That's pretty much the entire mobile repair setup here, from the vehicles to what I carry. And again, a lot of people may boast about how good their setup is. This setup is nothing special. You can go, and if you don't want to get a bunch of battery operated tools and whatnot, want to do it mostly by hand, basically you could probably get, spend a couple $100 and have everything that you need. If you're getting that, buying the battery stuff is going to add a little bit of money, but you're going to make that back super, super quickly. Again, I only do mobile about 1 day a week. Most of the time I'm here, or I may just run out and do a couple, if it's local, I do a couple of small jobs. Again, mine's a little bit special because I have a clientele that's about 30 to 40 minutes from here, from where I grew up, and people know me from church and other functions that know that I do repair, and they'll reach out to me, and what I'll do is, to make it efficient for everybody, is I group everybody together. I do everybody in 1 day. So just in retrospect, this past week, I did one mobile repair day on Thursday in that area, and I had 8 jobs between pickups. There was a couple of pickups, and most of them were repairs. Most of them were belt changes. One of them was a couple of cables on a push mower, and one of them was a carburetor replacement. And I was able to do everything out of the van. I had everything that I needed, and was able to do it all in 1 day. So, and basically what I made in that day basically has paid for the set of tools and everything that I have in that van. So what you invest in it, you'll make back very, very quickly. You don't have to get the top tier stuff. You just got to get stuff that's useful for you, and just make sure what you have is effective and efficient for you. Like I said, it doesn't mean that you have to spend a lot of money doing it. At least in my experience. I've done this full time a little over 2 years now. I haven't really had a lot of hang-ups with the setup that I have between the vehicles, the trailer, and the tools. So I just wanted to share with y'all the experience that I've had with mobile repair in terms of the setup that I have here with everything, and just encourage y'all that, like, this is getting into lawn equipment repair and stuff, and even mobile repair especially, is honestly not cost prohibitive. It's probably one of the cheapest ways that you can get into doing something in terms of making money and repairing stuff and things along those lines. Of course, you've got the sourcing side of things, so where you can source mowers and flip them and stuff. But if you did mostly mobile, or if you did a hybrid of working out of your home, which is what I do, and mobile repair, it's a very low cost of entry in my experience. A lot of times you just do you just get some basic tools. Doesn't have to be anything fancy or special, and it really honestly has gotten the job done in my sense here. From getting cars and trailers and vans for cheap, to getting oil on a good sale, getting the tools on a good sale, and then when those tools wear out, you upgrade or buy another set. You just keep on rolling. Maybe you have to rob one or two from your garage, but my premise was I wanted a dedicated mobile repair toolkit to where I didn't have to fetch a bunch of stuff from the garage outside of the blades and carburetors and other parts that I may need on a given day. So hopefully y'all enjoyed this video of basically how I do mobile repair around here, and just give y'all an encouragement. If you want to start this up, you don't have to have a lot of money to get started. You can build it as you go, build it as you make money, and start out with just oil changes and services. You can probably get, I don't know, I charge usually $100 a pop whenever I go service a riding mower at somebody's house, and so I know most people will charge more than that, but that's kind of where I'm at. You can set your pricing for your area and the demand for your area, and you'll be good. Thank y'all again very much. Hopefully I've not been rambling on too much, giving y'all some advice. If you do have any additional advice, please feel free to put it in the comments section down below of what you carry, what you do when it comes to the vehicles that you use for transporting machines and doing repair work out of. Thanks again, y'all. I'll catch y'all in the next video.